I would do my schooling, which was 3 hours with the tutor. Then right after that, I'd go to the recording studio and record, and I'd record for hours and hours till it's time to go to sleep. Michael Jackson's final recording session for Earth Song started like any other. But when he asked his engineer to kill all the lights, everything changed. In complete darkness, Michael unleashed something that wasn't quite human. The engineers couldn't see him, but they could feel something in that room that made their blood run cold. Bruce Swedien knew he was witnessing history. He saved that tape. What you're about to hear will explain why that decision haunts him still. Michael Joseph Jackson was born on August 29, 1958 in the industrial town of Gary, Indiana. He was the 8th child in a family of 10, squeezed into a tiny 2-bedroom house on Jackson Street. His father, Joseph, worked long hours at a steel mill, and his mother, Catherine, took on part-time work at Sears while managing the home. They barely had enough space to sleep, and several siblings often had to share beds. The house was always loud and crowded, and the air smelled of struggle. Catherine had once dreamed of singing country music and could play the clarinet, cello, and piano. Joseph, a former boxer, had played guitar in a local band called the Falcons. Even as a toddler, something about Michael was different. Just 4 years old, he would imitate James Brown's moves perfectly, spinning across the living room floor while family members stopped what they were doing just to watch. He didn't just dance. He moved like he was born on a stage. His voice stunned everyone. He could memorize songs after hearing them once, and hit notes that made even his older siblings stare in disbelief. He had a gift for rhythm and performed with a kind of magic that felt years beyond his age. By the time he turned 5, he was already leaving entire classrooms, speechless during school performances, standing confidently in front of crowds, like it was the most natural thing in the world. But behind those early performances was a darker reality. Michael's home was filled with fear. Joseph Jackson had a terrible temper. During arguments with Catherine, he would throw furniture while the children hid in corners. That fear never really left Michael. His father's abuse went beyond shouting. He exposed his sons to adult environments no child should have seen, dragging them into strip clubs and showing them things that shattered their innocence. Michael once admitted that just the sight of his father made him so sick with anxiety he would vomit. That fear would follow him for decades. His body image issues, his discomfort with intimacy, his deep loneliness, all of it started here in the shadows of that tiny house. When Michael was just 6 years old, he joined his brothers on stage in local talent shows at Mr. Lee's Club in 1964. He sang "Climb Every Mountain" from The Sound of Music and left a room full of adults stunned. No one could believe such control and emotion was coming from a 6-year-old. Soon he became more than just another sibling in the group. He was the one audiences came to see. He played congas and tambourine and quickly mastered every choreographed move the family rehearsed. Club owners began specifically requesting the Jackson brothers just to see Michael. He had the kind of connection with audiences that couldn't be taught. People didn't just watch him, they were drawn to him. But the price of that talent was brutal. Joseph turned their rehearsals into military drills. He would sit with a belt in his hand, watching closely for even the smallest mistake. Michael remembered being hit with belts, cords, even being held upside down as punishment. Some punishments were worse. Michael once said Joseph would strip him, apply oil to his skin, and then beat him as if trying to make the pain worse on purpose. The children rehearsed for hours without rest. The cost of perfection was deep trauma. Then came the day everything changed. On July 23, 1968, the brothers walked into Motown's headquarters in Detroit. Bobby Taylor had seen them perform in Chicago and arranged the audition. Berry Gordy had already said no to signing more child acts, but after seeing them perform, he reversed his decision. Just 3 days later, on July 26, they signed with Matone. At the same time, they were still performing in strip clubs just to survive. Michael was only 10, already living in a grown man's world. The group exploded onto the scene in 1969 with I Want You Back, followed by a string of hits including ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There. They became the first group in history to debut with 4 #1 songs in a row. But while the world cheered, Michael was suffering in silence. Rehearsals became even more intense. His father enforced 18-hour training days and punished any mistake with beatings. Michael said later that his father would tear you up for slipping up in singing or dancing. These weren't rare moments. They were daily life. By 1971, at just 13, Michael had become a global teen idol. But instead of celebrating, he often sat alone in hotel rooms crying. He missed the normal life other kids had. School, dances, birthday parties, friendships. While the world saw a superstar with a sparkling smile, inside he was just a boy who felt empty and alone. In 1972, everything shifted again. Matone was clashing with Joseph over creative control. And during this tension, 14-year-old Michael secretly recorded a song called Ben. It was a soft ballad about a pet rat originally meant for Donny Osmond. The song reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making Michael the third youngest artist ever to do so. It won a Golden Globe and earned an Oscar nomination. But the victory sparked tension when the Jackson 5 realized in 1975 that they were only getting 2.7% of their royalties from Matone. They left for Epic Records, which offered 20%. After selling over 60 million records, they held a press conference at the Rainbow Grill in Manhattan to announce their departure. But Matone fought back, sued them, and kept the name Jackson 5. Jermaine stayed behind, having married Berry Gordy's daughter, while Randy replaced him. Legal battles dragged on until March 1976. Meanwhile, Michael's teenage years